This video features the use of dangerous tools, hazardous chemicals and sharp knives. Viewer discretion is advised.
You trucks have been very good to me lately. Let's keep up the good work and get this job done as quickly as we can.
The sooner you empty us, the better. We're sick of all this coal. Here, Dave, have you seen? The railway is now listed on the stock market. Indeed, mate. It puts pressure on us. Moving coal is now more important than ever. I'd best make sure I get these coal trucks delivered quickly and on time. I don't want to upset the Fat Controller. Come along. Let's make good time. I think we're making good time. Oh, I hope there's no delays. Toby was right to trust me with his train. Trucks wouldn't dare play tricks on an engine like me. I always come out on top. Come on now, you silly trucks. Let's get moving. Who does this Percy think he is, coming into our yard and pushing us about? This is Toby's place. Percy has no right poking his funnel up here. Let's pay him out. Come along, no nonsense. We'll give him nonsense. Shh. Keep quiet until I say. Brakes, guard, please. Oh, okay. Now! Uh-oh. Help! I can't stop. Oh no! Oh, Toby won't be happy.
Oh, it is peaceful by the sea. Oh! Diesel! What are you doing here?
Your worthy Fat Sir Topham Hatt has decided that you need my help again. I'm not surprised.
What will the Fat Controller think? He won't like it.
So who's going to tell him, I wonder? Two little goody-goody telltales like you, I suppose.
Well, I'm not a telltale. No, neither am I.
Those two will soon be gone when I tell the Fat Controller what a mess they are making. Uh-oh.
Things worked much better here before you arrived.
It wasn't me. It was them.
I shall send you home, and I won't be inviting you back.
Oh, I'm so bored.
Cheer up, Percy. The Fat Controller says we've got to be here again tomorrow. We've just got to make the best of a bad situation.
I'll try.
And 1, 2, 3, 4. Percy, green and small. He's no use to us at all. Around the yards he'll huff and blow, but on the hills he's oh so slow.
Be quiet.
Oh, that was so good.
What's the matter, Percy? Nothing exciting ever happens. That's what's the matter. It's just coal, and trucks. Excitement is surprising. You never know when it'll happen. Otherwise, it wouldn't be exciting. Doodle beep. It would be surprising if something surprising happened.
Oh, look who it is. Oh, we want another engine. You are far too slow.
Be quiet.
Too slow. Here all night, tomorrow too. Hold back.
Oh no!
Surprise. Catch us if you can.
Got to catch them.
Quick! Stop all trains! We have to stop the trucks on the hill.
Right.
Come on then. The chase is on.
Quick, put the wood down. Oh, phew, we've done it. Good thinking. Great job, Bertie.
Well, what did you think of that, Percy? A good chase is always exciting. It was certainly a surprise. Thank you for your help, Bertie. A really useful engine should never be surprised by surprise.
For those who don't know, The Mad Bomber is a Thomas the Tank Engine parody video created by Leo Kim Video in the early 2000s. The video was made using Ertl Thomas toys with wheel conversions so they could run on HO track. I remember absolutely adoring this video when I was younger, even entering the competition way back when. I was recently rewatching this video and thought it would be extremely fun to make a little snippet from this special. You can find a link to the original Mad Bomber video in the description below. I started off by filming in the coal yard. This is actually just a yard set with a few large black rocks and some then crushed up coal scattered across the board. I hope to one day make another really big coal yard like I did when I made Predicament Percy, But for now, I only needed something small just for this sequence. I even put Cranky in there just because he's cool, he looks great. The coal chute is actually an adapted sort of railway crane. I used some old structures from my old Tim of Sheds and also painted one of these kind of kids fidget toy things black, and it kind of looked like a pipe that was going into a coal chute. Then for this close-up of the truck, I just sort of drilled a hole into the base of the crane and then just had some really finely crushed up coal dust and poured it through the hole, and it looks like it's being loaded from the chute itself. Then we get to the countryside. This is still the same set from James and the Trouble with Trees. I knew that because I was going to be dealing with explosions, I didn't want to melt any of my nice bullhead track, so I took these two out and replaced them with some cheaper, rustier straight tracks that I didn't mind if they melted a little bit. I then dressed up the set and all the scenics so that it looked nice and pretty. Hello all and welcome to the behind the scenes of Percy's Predicament. The most important element of this recreation, for me, was the brake van. I wanted the crash to feel impactful, so I built a custom brake van designed to be smashed into pieces. I used an old Hornby brake van for size reference and began cutting balsa wood into thin strips to resemble wooden planks. To give the planks a darker tone while preserving the wood grain, I applied a brown paint wash. After that, I cut the main support beams and meticulously glued each plank one by one. Though the process was tedious, the brake van was finally complete. It's not perfect by any means, but it would work perfectly for the crash. Before I could begin filming, I needed to disassemble the previous set I had in place, which was the yard set from Trust Thomas. I started by removing the tracks and carefully brushing off and saving as much ballast as possible. I decided to reuse some of the existing track for the branch line yard. Without a specific plan in mind, I experimented with different track pieces to see what would work for the entrance to the yard. I settled on a simple curved siding. Next, I used a small drill to make holes for the nails on the rest of the track, as most flexi-track lacks pre-drilled holes. Once the track was secured, I moved on to adding scenery and buildings. While I didn't follow an exact plan, you can see my thought process take shape throughout the set. I blended the grass mats using Woodland Scenics turf. I then added more detailed bushes to enhance the scene. I used a wooden beam at the end of the set to extend the track. With the set nearly complete, I checked how everything looked through the camera. After some final adjustments, I was ready to start filming. I was really excited to adapt this story. The original Crash from Series 2 is iconic and so well executed. I knew I'd never be able to match quite the stunt they pulled off, but I wanted to give it my best shot. As mentioned in my behind the scenes video, I built a custom brake van that was created to break apart. Truthfully, it was all guesswork. As with most of these videos, I tend to improvise and just see what works on the day. I tested Percy smashing into the brake van, but it wasn't smashing. I decided to swap out the chassis of the brake van for one I'd used for Scruffy in the TCC, when I had him break apart in a flashback scene. This chassis had already been pre-cut up, so I knew it would break apart. I'd figured that I wouldn't get the crash I wanted in a simple shot. I didn't have the technical know-how or the materials at my disposal to make it happen. So what I figured I'd do was try many times until I had enough shots that I could perhaps merge them together. That's the truth of this crash shot. It is a merge of many crashes. So let's review the footage together and let's see which shots we can steal bits from to make the ultimate brake van smash. This shot had something special about it. The crunch of the brake van was great. The initial brake, I knew I'd need to save this one. This meant I could reposition the brake van for the next shot. This next one had a great element. Percy's positioning was perfect, as he'd eventually need to end up on top of the next wagon. This gave me the perfect Percy movement and brake van movement too. I knew I could now progressively start to destroy the brake van for more crash elements, allowing Percy to crush the van. I could also start to break certain elements of the brake van so they'd fall off. I could then combine these in After Effects, the initial crunch, the Percy tilt, and the different bits flying off, rotoscoping each of them until I had this crash. I then also added a couple of stock VFX elements, wooden planks flying and dust exploding from the wreckage. I'm very happy with the final result. Of course, the brake van smash isn't where it ends. The next part was Percy landing atop the next wagon. I used a small piece of track to ensure Percy would directly land atop the following wagon. I used the broken bits of the wagon to help blend the shots, and I also used the fog machine to add some ambient dust. This took a few tries. Each shot had to be set up, replacing each plank and ensuring Percy and the trucks were back in their starting position. Sometimes Percy took a dive. The process was painstaking. Eventually I got an interesting shot. Yes, Percy gets angled the wrong way, but we get the trucks behind pushing through. I knew I could make this one work. I needed the rest of the crash to feel impactful and blend together perfectly. This meant using lots of different close-ups and angles with the trucks following up. Here are some of the takes. Eventually, I had the perfect blend. I decided to omit more of the trucks, as the focal point for this was Percy. And so, we have the final crash sequence once more. This video was an adaptation of the Diesel Does It Again story from Series 3 of the television series. It's quite a lot shorter than the episode it is based on. For this dockside set, it didn't feel necessary to use real water, so I've simply used cellophane on a blue card. I think that from the camera's perspective, it works quite well. I of course did use real water on this set, as we needed those splashes when the trucks hit the water. In the episode, Diesel pushes the trucks off a pier that goes out into the sea. I've decided to take some creative liberties here with this dockside instead. It was a little easier to create and meant I could have some big splashes from the trucks as they hit the water. I needed something for the water to sit in, so I found this large plastic tub. I attached 2 wooden beams from the table to securely hold the tub in place, and then I found a small offcut of plasterboard which was just screwed into the side of the table. To cover the screw holes and add a bit of detail to the dockside, I added these 2 strips of balsa wood. I then painted the entire piece grey and let that dry. To give it some more texture and detail, I made up various shades of grey, with some with orange, some with green mixed in, and after mixing them with water, I used a sponge to dab it onto the board. I wanted this to feel a bit weathered, a bit used. There wasn't really much rhyme or reason to this, I just kept dabbing until I was happy with it. I then made the yard that would lead to the quayside and got working on adding the water. Now the set was ready for filming. Diesel nearly fell into the water. Thank goodness the random hand was able to save him. Hey everyone, I hope you enjoyed that little recreation of A Surprise for Percy. It feels so good to be properly filming again, and don't worry, there is plenty more on the way. So let's talk about how I built the set. I kick things off with the hill, since that's the key part of the episode. I made it using 2 thin sheets of MDF, with one of them stacked on top of an old box to give it a bit of height. Yes, it's probably too high, but it makes the visuals more interesting, right? I screwed the incline board down about 5 to 10 centimetres in from the edge to create a gentle slope, which helps it look a little bit more natural. Next up was the track. I laid down the flexi track and pinned it in place. With that done, the hill was really starting to come together. Then I moved on to the little village at the base of the hill, where Bertie would meet Percy. I played around with the building placement until it looked just right. I then added some walls, some line-side details, and started putting down a few of the grass mats. Once that was in place, I ballasted the track from the village all the way to the hill. I then started adding the scenic elements, bushes, scatter, that kind of thing. For the village area, the bare wood as the road just wasn't going to cut it. Eventually, I want to make some modular road pieces that I can just drop in, but for now, I kept it simple and I painted the visible area grey. I also sprinkled in a bit of sand for texture. After that, it was full steam ahead on the rest of the scenery. And finally, the set was ready to film. Now, fun fact, Percy actually can't make it up that hill. It's too steep for him. So I ended up using fishing wire to pull him and the trucks up. I then edited it out in post. Movie magic. And there you have it, a surprise for Percy. I hope you enjoyed the video. And if you haven't seen it yet, stick around, because up next is how I made Percy the Small Engine. Percy has 2 models released in 00 scale, Hornby and Bachmann. The Hornby Percy was actually the first model locomotive I ever owned, a gift for my birthday or Christmas many years ago. I still have him to this day, and was using him in videos not that long ago. He doesn't run like he used to, probably tired out from all those races back in the day. A few years ago, I acquired the Bachmann Percy. He's always been a bit temperamental, but when he does run, he runs very smoothly. Recently, I decided it was time to update my models with 3D printed shells. The Percy shell was designed by Noah, the LBSC Thomas, and the faces were created by Andrew, the Chairlord. The 3D printing went through the usual process. primed, sanded, filled, primed, sanded, filled. You know the drill. For Oliver and Duck, I used Humbrol Lime Green, which is quite a light shade. Since I opted for a darker shade on Thomas, I decided to go with the darker green for Percy as well. I used Plasticoat Garden Green. The wheels were masked and painted, as was the shell. The running board was primed and painted red. Percy was starting to take shape. Next, I worked on the chassis. I needed to modify it quite heavily to fit the 3D printed shell. The original Bachmann Percy chassis is quite chunky and needed to be cut down. The pickups also needed to be moved from the running board to the chassis block. I'd actually made similar modifications when working on my not so amazing lady model years ago, so I was ready to give it another shot. It looks a bit messy, but I wanted to retain as much of the original plastic as possible to keep the chassis block secure. I painted the bunker black and the dome gold. For the lining and the number 6 on its side, I used vinyl. The smoke box was split in half to make way for the smoke unit, then glued back together and painted black. I added buffers by James Tranos, screw links by Hornby, and lamp irons, which are pins, to the running board. After rewiring Percy with his DCC decoder, I ran a quick test in my messy work area and was pleased to see that he was working great. I decided to use the original Bachmann Percy cab roof to help conceal the internal wiring. Finally, the buffers were painted and I lightly weathered him with black Humbrol weathering powder. He was ready for filming.
No Sodor fleet is complete without Thomas the Tank Engine. Over the years, I've had a few different Bachmann Thomas models, some of which I adapted with rather funky funnels, either too long, bit mangled, or slightly wonky. This is because the soothe smoke units I install are too big to fit inside the pre-existing funnel, so they have to be removed and replaced. I used to use a plastic straw, but this time I unlocked a new mode, 3D printing. Originally, I only planned to build Oliver and Duck for Oliver's cliffside collapse, but Caleb Train rightfully convinced me to take a crack at the other engines. The design for the shell was created by the LBSC Thomas and then was 3D printed. Initially it appeared to have warped slightly, probably due to less than ideal print settings. To fix this, I tried heating the resin and sandwiching it between two wooden blocks. This wasn't very effective, so we decided to add bars to the design for the next print. If you know how to fix 3D print warping, please let me know. Then came the never-ending sanding and filling stage. After priming, even more blemishes were revealed, so it was back to sanding, filling and repeating the process again. The running board was primed with Tamiya Primer Grey, and then the sides were covered in Tamiya's brilliant red. Caleb and I had a little trouble finding the right blue for Thomas. We tried one that was too dark, and another that was way too light. Eventually, we landed on Tamiya French Blue. I was still a bit unsure, more on that later. Next up was the lining. Ideally, I wanted the lining to be flush with the loco, so I tried water transfers. But as I mentioned in my Oliver video, I had real trouble sourcing good water transfers. There are commercial lining sheets available in red, but I knew I'd have to find a matching number 1, and I didn't want the number 1 to stick out compared to the lining. I painstakingly tried masking out where I wanted the lining and then spray painting it, but I had an immense amount of paint bleed. I decided it wasn't worth the hassle. After that, it was back to sanding and priming again. This freshly primed Thomas gave me a new opportunity though. I still wanted a darker shade of blue. I tried these two blues, but they were too dark. I then contacted my friend James, whose Thomas model has a very nice blue. He wasn't sure exactly which blue it was though. So, he sprayed Tamiya French Blue and Humbrol French Blue next to his Thomas. The Humbrol seemed a little darker, so I decided to give it a go. The shade was indeed much darker than I initially thought it would be, but I liked it. It was nowhere near as dark as the others I'd tried, and it would better complement the green I planned to use for Percy and Henry later on. It turns out James's Thomas's blue is in fact still Tamiya French Blue, but with a darker undercoat. Once Thomas was in a new coat of blue paint, I returned to the lining and settled on good old-fashioned vinyl. I then got to work cutting the chassis and motor block to fit the 3D printed shell. I modified the 3D funnel to accommodate the soothed smoke units I use. I made sure the hole was big enough for the smoke unit, but that the funnel didn't look too chunky or unsightly. I printed new lamps and painted them white. I then printed a new whistle and painted it gold. And all of these accessories, 3D files, were made available by Jamos Tranos. I installed the new smoke unit and smoothed over an unfortunate crack in his smoke box. He was almost complete, until... This was not good. I glued it back together and I realised it wouldn't work, so I completely recreated the running board. I soon got a face scan of Thomas's smiling face printed, and he finally felt complete. When I started my commissioned Thomas models, I noticed that more updated shells were available, which were a little more accurately proportioned. I also fell back in love with Tamiya French Blue after giving it a much darker base layer before applying the blue. One day, I might revisit my 3D printed Thomas, but since so much work went into this Thomas, I don't think I'll be doing that anytime soon. So, without further ado, here's Thomas.